Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. Shinchan heard the warning from Instructor Daika, turned around and saw, I went, and another winged beast came over. This time they were still two together. These two old instructors were a little weak. The first time they let a winged beast come over, it was a careless mistake. But this time, two winged beasts were released, which is a bit too much. I thought so, but the winged she-beast had already flown this way, so Shinchan could only think of ways to deal with it. This time when the two winged beasts came, the previous tactics were no longer effective, and Shinchan could only rely on the advantage of the terrain to avoid the opponent's attack. Fortunately, due to the limitation of the terrain, the winged beasts could not cause too much trouble to Stardust in the air. So the two winged beasts descended to the ground again, ready to bite Stardust. On Shinchan's side, he could only wander among the vines to avoid the bite of the winged beast. Two winged beasts besiege Shinchan together, so they can carry out some coordination. For example, one main attack, and the other can surround Shinchan from the other side when Shinchan dodges. This makes it harder for Stardust to dodge. The situation on Stardust's side is more dangerous. However, the 587 officer of the Qiluan sect and the instructor Daika ushered in the dawn of victory. Originally, there were 18 or 19 winged beasts, besieging the four of them. The strength of the two sides was not much different, so they were evenly matched. But one of them turned to attack Stardust, so there was one missing here. This side was fighting, the one that attacked Shinchan died, and then two more winged beasts flew to Shinchan's side. So there were 16 winged beasts here. Once the number of the herd decreases, the pressure on the two instructors becomes lighter, and they can look for opportunities to cooperate. First, Instructor Qiluan, under the cover of Instructor Daika, sprinted close to a winged beast, and then slashed 3 times, cutting the poor beast into several sections. Then Instructor Qiluan stepped back and formed a battle line with Instructor Daika again. Next, Instructor Daika found the target. Instructor Qiluan resisted the attack of the 3 winged she-beasts, and Instructor Daika faced 1 winged she-beast alone in a short time. Instructor Daika has the strength of the 5th level of the prefecture level, and this she-beast is only about the 2nd level of the prefecture level, and the strength gap is obvious. So a few seconds later, when the other winged beasts reacted and swooped down to rescue them, this poor beast died tragically on the spot. At this time, the balance of strength on the battlefield was reversed. 2 instructors plus 2 students should be enough to deal with these 14 calculation beasts. Of course, the battle situation on the instructor's side has improved, but Shinchan's side is somewhat dangerous. The 2 winged beasts kept chasing Shinchan, trying to bite him into pieces and devour him. Shinchan naturally didn't want to do this, so he used all his mind to dodge in the space formed by the vines everywhere. With the help of Rhubarb, the location of the 2 winged beasts was reported to Shinchan in real time, so that Shinchan would not hide in the mouth of the counting beasts. After going around like this for a while, Dang Dang has already cut off the Rot-Tan treasure. However, there are winged beasts harassing here, so it is not easy to drive the hover car out. No matter what you say, the Ishi beast is also a fierce beast at the earth level. Its wings are at least 4 or 5 meters wide. Although its 2 sharp claws are not raw steel, they are not far behind. If the suspension car is driven out, it only needs to let the winged she-beast come a few times, and the car may be scattered. The car couldn't be driven out, but Dang Dang and Walla ran out, and they were already near the battlefield on Shinchan's side. The 2 younger brothers hid aside, looking for an opportunity to help Shinchan. Although Shinchan and these younger brothers are not very strong, but in a fight, as long as they exert some influence on the opponent, like the swaying just now, and entangle the opponent for a few breaths, Shinchan will be able to deal ruthlessly to the opponent. So it cannot be said that their actions are useless. At this moment, there are a few younger brothers supporting him, and Shinchan can play a few small cooperation. Shinchan arranged for Dang Dang and Walla to hide at one end of a space made up of vines, and let Bei Lu hide at the other end of the space. Next, Shinchan moved towards the space, while dodging the attacks of the 2 winged beasts. The little guys hid well, and the robots had no aura, so they couldn't be found by analyzing the beasts. When Xingqian hid into this space from the other side where Bai Lu was hiding, a winged beast attacked from the entrance here, but the other winged beast discovered the other side of this space and rushed forward go there, and prepared to give Xingqian a sit-and-go. But Stardust chose this terrain for a decisive battle, so naturally he wouldn't let the opponent ambush him so easily. Xingqian entered from this side, took a few steps forward, dodged the attack of the winged beast from behind, and then did not rush forward from the other end, but turned around to give the winged beast a hard blow. Of course, this winged beast was not so easy to deal with. When Xingqian turned around, the winged beast opened its mouth full of fangs, ready to stretch its head forward to bite Xingqian. However, Bai Lu was outside the entrance at this time, and the head of the winged beast had already protruded into the space. What he had been waiting for was this time, and he immediately used a classic face-hugger move. The winged beast was a little stunned by such an attack, and quickly shook its head to throw it off. But this time, the head of the winged beast was in a narrow space, so the flicking of it hurt a lot of places, but the winged beast also hit hard. So the winged beast wanted to withdraw its head from the space. If Xingqian was not here, the winged beast would certainly be able to fulfill its wish, but this is the opportunity Xingqian is waiting for in this space. As long as Xingqian turns around and sends the knife forward, and then turns the knife with both hands, this winged beast is about to die. Seeing that the winged beast was almost finished, Xingqian didn't delay, he drew his knife and ran towards the other side of the space. This space is not very long, so Xingqian ran a few steps and came to another exit. The winged beast here has just arrived at the exit, and is about to wait for Xingqian to come out, and then give him a mouthful, but there are two younger brothers of Xingqian outside the exit, and they are still two strong younger brothers. At this time, Dang Dang and Walla, one up and one down, attacked at the same time, and they rushed over to hug. The attack methods are all hugging. There is no way, these three younger brothers are all multifunctional robots assembled for civilian use, their strength is relatively weak, they are not good at fighting, and they have no attack methods. It is impossible to injure each other with fists and feet. The situation is more critical now, so they can only step forward to cause some obstacles and troubles for the opponent, and it is already very good to leave some opportunities for Xingqian to attack. The two younger brothers are both robots. Although the whole body of steel does not weigh a few hundred caddies, it still has a weight of nearly 100 caddies. At this moment, two heavy objects weighing nearly 100 caddies simultaneously hugged the winged beast. Although this guy is very strong and powerful, he couldn't get away for a while. Of course, the winged beast was thrown by the two robots, but it was not thrown down, but almost lost its balance. The winged beast supported the ground with its winged arms, stabilized its figure, and then tried to shake off the two robots and smash them to pieces. At this moment, the star dust had already sprung out from the space, and saw this winged beast standing sideways outside the exit, grabbing Dong Dong's head and arms with its arms, and was about to pull Dang Dang up and tear it into pieces. Xingqian immediately lowered his body and swung his saber fiercely at one of the winged beast's legs. The light of the knife flashed, and the beast's foot separated from the beast's body and fell to the ground. The winged beast had one leg cut off by a knife, and it was completely out of balance. Crashing on it was holding the head and neck of the winged beast, and would use its feet to prop up the vines next to it, and the winged beast would fall to the other side. Xingqian didn't wait for the winged beast to fall to the ground completely, he fitted his body and slashed at the bushy beast with all his strength. This knife was powerful enough to cut the winged 0.3 she beast into two pieces directly from the middle. At this point, this winged beast is dead. Seeing that the winged beast was completely dead, Xingqian turned around and ran towards the winged beast at the other end. The winged beast was stabbed by Xingqian, and then stirred again. It should not survive long. But this time he is still hugging that guy. If this winged beast is not completely dead, then it will be a little dangerous. Xingqian came to the exit here, and sure enough, the winged beast was still struggling for its life, constantly tearing and biting the remaining thin legs with its mouth. However, Bai Lu didn't let go of his legs, and still used the remaining 3 thin legs to wrap around the head of the winged beast. This little guy is quite brave. Xingchen didn't talk nonsense, he went straight forward and made a knife. This knife cut between the chest and abdomen of the Ishi beast, and it really split it open. At this time, the winged beast completely lost its breath and died. Seeing this winged beast, Xingchen hastily picked it up and hugged it down. At this time, only 2 legs are left to move, and these 2 legs are still a little incomplete, looking really strong. Xingchen successfully killed the 2 winged beasts, but the one on the side was seriously injured. Only 2 disabled legs of the 8-legged one were still able to move, and the other legs were almost all wire-drawn parts. But, it's a robot, as long as the most important core is not broken, other parts can be restored by replacing parts, which is not considered disabled. Xingchen came to the other side of the space with his arms in his arms, and the Ishi beast over there had already died. Dang Dang and Walla were not seriously injured. Walla was crushed on the leg when the winged she beast fell to the ground, and some parts were deformed. When it walked, it made a straight noise again. When Dang Dang hugged the winged she beast below, he was hit and torn by it a few times, but the damage was not too serious. Only one arm was broken into several pieces, leaving only some wires and the like still connected. At this time, the broken certificate is hanging on the shoulder. In addition, there are several deformed places, and it is a bit awkward to walk. Everyone suffered some injuries, but they didn't hurt the core, which is considered luck. As long as you change the parts later, it will be like new. The battle here is over, but there is still work to be done. Stardust saw that Hua Li's arms were fine, and he could still drive the hover car, so he asked Hua La to drive the hover car 25. At this time, Tingbao has been installed on the suspension vehicle. Crash drove the car out, went into the vines again, drove the cleaning car out and parked it on the suspension car. This time, Xingchen's affairs are all settled, and he can get away and run away. Of course, it's impossible to run away directly. Instructor Daika and Qiluan are still working hard there. It would be too unreasonable to run directly. Xingchen asked the younger brothers to get in the car, put Bai Lu in the car, and stood on it himself, and then asked Hua La to park the car higher so that Daika and the others could see it. Sure enough, Daika and the others were relieved to see that Xingchen was fine. At that moment just now, Xingchen circled around with the 2 winged beasts for a while, and then beheaded each other. Instructor Daika was not idle either. The 2 instructors cooperated with each other, killing and wounding 7 winged beasts in a row. Now there are only 9 winged beasts surrounding the instructor and others. Originally, Instructor Qiluan and 2 students could deal with so many winged beasts, but now that there is an expert Instructor Daika, these winged beasts are no match. Seeing that there are fewer and fewer animal friends around the remaining Ishi beasts, and the 3 Ishi beasts on Xingchen's side in the past have not moved, they also feel that something is wrong. One of the most powerful Ishi beasts roared a few times immediately, and the group of Ishi beasts turned around and flew towards the lair at the same time. Instructor Qiluan was besieged by the beasts for a long time, but he was not angry. He took the opportunity to kill the last Ishi beast, and then he stopped. Xing took advantage of seeing the end of the battle with Instructor Qiluan, so he asked Hua La to drive over to meet him. However, Qitsong and the others didn't wait for Xingchen to drive to the place, and directly asked him to wait on the spot. Then Daika and the others returned to Stardust in Daika's suspension vehicle. This place is too close to the beast's lair, so it's not a place to talk, so the 2 hover vehicles flew along the canyon to the other side. After flying out of this valley and flying a few kilometers away from the beast's nest, Xingchen and the others stopped. This will be relatively close, and Xingchen has seen the situation of Daika and others. These people are not seriously injured, at least no one has lost arms or legs. The 2 instructors were only a little dirty and were not injured. It is obvious that the strength of the instructor is relatively strong, and the actual combat experience is relatively rich. Facing the siege of many fierce beasts, it can be regarded as a retreat. Those 2 students were in a bit of a miserable situation. The protective clothing on their whole bodies was torn into beggar clothes, and their bodies were covered with scars. Several wounds were still oozing blood. The situation is considered relatively safe now. Instructor Chi Luan quickly took medical equipment to treat the student's injuries. It is said that it is healing, but it is nothing more than washing the wound with something like disinfectant, and then applying medicinal powder. Instructor Daika was contacting the group of people who led the herd away. The signal here is not very good, sometimes strong and sometimes weak, but after spending some time, it can be regarded as contacting that group of people. Daika told the other party the news of his success here, and then cut off contact. When we discussed the plan before, we agreed on the meeting place. Now that the meeting was successful, Instructor Daika led the way to the meeting point. By the time the agreed place was reached, the other group of people hadn't come yet, probably because it was more troublesome to get rid of the herd of beasts. Xingchen and the others had been waiting for more than 20 minutes before another group of people arrived late. It was getting dark now, and it was night time. However, both sides have suspension vehicles, which are also equipped with lamps, so they will not miss the opportunity to meet. It should be very difficult for that group of people to tease away nearly 100 winged beasts. Looking at it now, it is indeed difficult to deal with it. Not to mention the disheveled instructors who led the team. Those 10 students were similar to those on Chi Luan's side, also dressed as beggars, but the injuries on their bodies were not serious, not as bad as bleeding out. The other 2 guards did not suffer any harm, after all, their strength was there. But getting dirty is inevitable. As soon as the 2 sides met, they were a little embarrassed to see each other, but no one said nonsense. Well, everyone is the same. If someone says something sarcastic, isn't that a slap in the face of everyone? Seeing that everyone is here and the goal of this operation has been achieved, the team leader and instructor decided not to camp, but to rush back to the Budokan directly. First, take off the rattan treasure and must use it as soon as possible to avoid energy loss. Second, the goal this time has been achieved. Everyone in this meeting is injured, and everyone is exhausted. So why stay here? Are you waiting to encounter a herd of beasts again? So here is an order, and the people present immediately flew towards the Budokan at full speed. The way back was peaceful. The people on the suspension vehicle didn't have to pay attention to the vines on the ground, they could drive fast. Although there were many beasts on the ground, by the time they reacted, the suspension vehicle had already flown far away. Can find trouble. When they came, it took Xingchen and the others a long time to reach the Wingshi beast. On the way back, it only took less than 2 hours to return to the dormitory area. Well, it's really fast to come back. When they arrived at the martial arts hall, Xingchen and the others were completely relaxed. There should be no more ferocious beasts here. At this time, Ting 773 Bao was still on Stardust's suspension vehicle. The Daika Academy arranged for the student who wanted to use the rattan treasure to be transported away with his suspension car, and then what to do. The team leader and instructor here spoke to the other students in the team. The general idea is that these students are trained in the martial arts gym on weekdays, and there are few opportunities for actual combat, so it can be said that they have no actual combat experience. No, this time against the Wingshi beast, those churches fought with the guards and the Wingshi beast, killing a few from time to time. However, when these students actually encounter fierce beasts in actual combat, they will reveal all kinds of shortcomings, and their shortcomings in cultivation will be exposed. If it weren't for the instructors and others to maintain it everywhere, I'm afraid it would be good if half of these students can come back. It's useless for Stardust to hear these words. Instructor Daika came over and patted Xingchen's shoulder, feeling a little embarrassed. Xingchen boy, I'm really sorry this time, I just asked you to help find things, but who would have thought that there are so many winged beasts hiding in the beast's lair? We 2 old guys tried our best to stop them, let you fight with your life there. I see that your robots have been seriously damaged. This time you have suffered a lot. I've been watching all of this. Go back and rest today, and I'll get some benefits for you later, and I promise not to let you suffer. With the assurance of Instructor Daika, it seems that there are other things to be gained from this trip. Xingchen greeted Instructors Daika and Qiluan, and took a few younger brothers back to the dormitory to rest. Xingchen took the little brothers back to his dormitory. Not to mention that Xingchen himself is disheveled, even the younger brothers are all disabled, and their whole body is almost scrapped, so they will still be carried back to the house with a clatter. Dongdong's legs and feet were a little awkward when he was walking, and there were some wires and hoses left on one arm, hanging on his arm and dangling. The sound of crashing and clattering resumed when walking, but the others were better. In addition, the 3 younger brothers were also covered with various plant juice debris, and they were in a terrible embarrassment. Xingchen looked at the miserable appearance of the little brothers, but still said a few words in concern. The general idea is that you stay in the house first, and find time tomorrow to go to the parts cellar to buy some good parts for you, and they will definitely repair you all. The little brothers didn't have the function of speaking, they just stood silently in a corner of the room, staying still. The robot stays still when there is nothing to do, which is an energy-saving area. After Xingchen arranged for the younger brothers, he also went to wash up, and then went to bed to rest. This day, he ran around here and there, and later he faced 3 winged beasts, but he was very tired. As soon as Xingchen lay on the bed, he fell asleep. The next day, the sky was already bright, and Xingchen finally woke up. This sleep was more comfortable. Xingchen took a look in the room. The little brothers were not there, not even the almost completely disabled Bai Lu was in the room. Is this because the younger brothers think life is too dangerous, so they all run away? Xingchen walked out of the dormitory and looked around. In the distance, there was the noise of a cleaning vehicle clearing plants, and it turned out that the 3 little loves came back to life. Hey! These little brothers are really hardworking. They are all disabled. They have to go to work and don't know how to take a break. At this time, the location where the younger brothers cleared the plants was more than 100 meters away from the dormitory, and they slid past like stardust. When we got to the front, it was not surprising to see Dang Dang driving the removal vehicle with one arm, and Crash driving the suspension vehicle to transport the waste. Even the crippled Ba Lu was using his only 2 injured legs to control the small suspension vehicle to transport waste back and forth. Xingchen covered his head with his hands. Hey! These little brothers are too real. Seeing the 3 younger brothers working hard, Xingchen stopped them anyway. The work is not bad for a while, so let's buy accessories and replace it first. Don't let others see it. Maybe how can I say that I squeeze the robot too much? When the younger brothers heard Xingchen's order, they also quickly stopped. Xingchen asked Dang Dang to park the cleaning vehicle in the dormitory, and then asked Biliu to park the small car back, and everyone went out together in the large suspension vehicle that drove away. It will be bright, and the time should be around 10 o'clock in the morning. At this time, most shops should be open. Hula drove the car outside. There were not many people walking around in the martial arts hall. Most of the students and instructors were training on the training ground. The city where the Budokan is located is relatively large, and there are some shops in the city that sell robots and various accessories. Stardust also asked about some related information before, so he would know where to buy the accessories that they use. When it came to the market for robot-related items, Stardust chose a store with the largest area, the highest grade, and the most complete range of goods. Maybe such a store sells a little more expensive things, but now that Xingchen has a lot of money, he is not short of this money. The store has its own receptionist to greet him, and then politely invite Xingchen to enter the service area. The service area is located at the height of the center of the entire store, where you can see all the products in the entire store. The receptionist served tea for Xingchen, and then asked what goods Xingchen wanted. Naturally, Xingchen wants to replace all the younger brothers with new accessories, but how to replace them has to be considered. In the past, the accessories for the whole body of the younger brothers were assembled with various types of accessories, and these accessories were all picked up in the waste area. At that time, Stardust was on the waste planet, and everyone around him used assembled goods, so no one hated it. Now that they have all come to the prosperous star field, Stardust also has this condition, so he naturally wants to exchange some better accessories for the younger brothers. According to the careful introduction by the receptionist, Stardust selected 2 robots. These 2 robots are relatively new models, and their performances are good. They are multifunctional service robots. Xingchen is going to buy a full set of accessories for the younger brothers. This full set refers to a full set of accessories except the internal core. In fact, Stardust bought 2 new robots, and then replaced the cores of them with the cores of the younger brothers. The receptionist didn't understand that this good new robot is not used, so it has to be replaced with the old core. But Xingchen is the customer, the one who spends the money. Whoever spends the money is the boss. Stardust wants to play like this, but the reception doesn't care. Each of these 2 brand new robots is priced at more than 400,000 RALs, making them the most expensive robots here. The higher the price, the higher the performance. Dang Dang and Walla used assembly parts before, and if they are classified according to performance and strength, they should be around the 3rd level of the human level, which is considered a very poor group. And these 2 brand new robots, the power core and body strength in the body, etc., have almost reached the 8th level of the human level. Even though the 2 younger brothers were still unable to defeat a fierce beast like the Wingshi beast with such a body, they would be able to help them more in battle. The accessories of Dang Dang and Walla have been solved, but this little thing is a bit troublesome. When I was in Waste Star, I assembled the special robot called Bailiu to get into a relatively small space to get things. It is sold outside, and there is no such model category. That is to say, there is no way to replace it with a molding robot made by others. You can only buy similar types of accessories and assemble it yourself. But these things are not difficult to do, just have to carefully select the appropriate accessories. The receptionist of the store listened to Xingchen's request, and also brought all the materials of the spare parts in the store, and then asked Xingchen to choose from it. It took Xingchen a whole hour of rummaging to find all the accessories used by Xiao Qiliu. However, there are no accessories for the original model, and the model Xingchen found is larger than before. Assembled with such accessories, the figure of Xia Bailiu after assembly is 1/3 taller than before. It's considered that Xiaobai has grown up, and it's easier to work when he's taller. No problem. Of course, the size is bigger, and the attributes of accessories such as the power core have been strengthened. Although they do not have the strength to reach the 8th human level, they have grown from less than the 2nd human level to about the 5th human level. In this case, the face-hugging monster will be more lethal in the future. Xingchen selected the accessories used by the 3 younger brothers, and the receptionist calculated the price. Dang Dang and Walla both use complete sets of robots, one is 470,000 RALs, the other is 455,000 RALs. The total amount of accessories used in Baolu is about 72,000 RALs. I have to say that it is really cheaper for a small person to use fewer accessories. The 3 younger brothers will spend a total of 1,097,000 RALs. Xingchen negotiated the price with the receptionist, and then he only paid 1.04 million RALs. Alright, these 3 younger brothers, Qian Nuozho, are very helpful, and they have helped a lot recently, so Qian Xingchen doesn't feel bad about it. Stardust paid the bill. The reception also arranges people to prepare the goods. This store also helps replace parts for free. Especially clang clang rattling too, as long as the core area is opened and the most important storage memory core is replaced. In just over 20 minutes, Dang Dang and Walla changed into brand new bodies. This little guy is a little troublesome, but Xingchen didn't use the shop to do it, but packed all the accessories and prepared to go back to the dormitory, so that Walla could assemble it. In addition, Xingchen didn't want the body parts replaced by Dang Dang and Walla. Instead, he picked out accessories worth 70,000 to 80,000 reals, and prepared to take them back together, and replace them with the 2 younger brothers who were guarding the dormitory. These 2 younger brothers used to be guard robots, and they were too weak. After coming to Amaya, they were useless at all. This time, Xingchen will use the things Dang Dang and the others replaced and add some other parts to help the 2 younger brothers improve, and they can also help with some work in the future. After buying all kinds of accessories used by the younger brothers, Xingchen bought some materials in this store, which are also things that the robot needs to use. These materials include various animal and plant information on Amaya's side, topographic data in various regions, and cooking technology data on this planet. The cooking technical information is for the younger brothers to learn to cook those spirit beast meat and so on. It's been 2 or 3 days since Xingchen brought this thing back, and he hasn't had a chance to try it out. This time, let the younger brothers learn how to cook first. It cost a lot of lol for the younger brothers, and Xingkong also bought some things for himself. Before, Xingchen bought a new protective suit for daily wear. This time he went back to the mountains and walked around. Although he was not injured, the protective suit was very dirty, and it was covered with plant juice and dust. In the past, I only bought a suit because I didn't have a lot of money and used it sparingly. Now that Xingchen is rich, he has to buy a set of protective clothing for this change. At present, Stardust has almost reached the first level strength of the prefecture level, and this protective clothing should also be purchased at this level. Xingchen came to the shop where he bought the protective clothing last time, and asked someone to introduce him to buy another dark-colored protective clothing worn by the First Order Earth level. In addition, Xingchen walked around the store again, buying some daily items. For this settlement, another 50,000 to 60,000 rels were spent. After leaving this shop, Xingchen went to buy some cooking items, and also bought some common fruits and vegetables, which can be regarded as plus 467 supplies for dinner. Other things are fine. When it comes to buying vegetables, Xingchen has a bit of trouble. There are plenty of vegetable varieties here, but the vegetables are a bit dry. I don't know if the vegetables are so dry after being put for a long time, or it is caused by other reasons. Anyway, the vegetables here don't look very good, which made Xingchen feel a little bit guilty. But on another thought, there are some spirit grass growing on the Vine Mountain in the Budokan, and those can also be added to the spirit beast meat for cooking. Let's buy some common vegetables first. I'll see the effect when I'm doing my homework, alright. After shopping, Xingchen asked Hua La to drive back to the dormitory. Along the way, Hula also drove very fast. However, the car ran very stably. Obviously, it has a new body, and all the performances are quite good. Hula has adapted to this new body. When he got back to the dormitory, Xingchen arranged for Walla and Dang Dang to replace the bodies and accessories for Biliu and the other 2 younger brothers, while he ran to the open space to do various training. I've been busy changing accessories for my younger brothers for a long time. Xingchen hasn't done his own dynamic and static exercises and other trainings yet. To cultivate this kind of thing, the most important thing is persistence. You have to do it every day. If you, CFDF, always practice every few days, and then practice after a few days, then you can't do anything. Stardust is training here, while Walla and Dang Dang have already gone to the dormitory and are changing accessories for them. Xingchen doesn't need to worry about changing accessories. Hey, they change these things frequently, and they have long been proficient. Xingchen had been practicing the movement and stillness exercises for a long time before Instructor Daika appeared out of nowhere. Instructor Daika came late today. However, it is also possible that I came here before, saw that Xingchen was not here, and went to another place for a while before coming here again. Xingchen boy, I saw that you have only practiced the exercises for a few days, and your aura is not very strong, but your combat power is not low. In the battle with the Wingshi beast yesterday, the students we brought were almost all 3 level of strength, but in a real fight, they failed to kill a few winged beasts. On the contrary, you kid. Although your moves are not very good and your speed is not very fast, you were able to kill 3 winged beasts in the end, which is already much more than those students. Have you often fought in actual combat before? Your judgment is good when you are in a battle, dealt with it properly. Instructor Daika, yesterday's battle was thrilling enough. If it weren't for a few robots from my side who came forward to assist me, it would be difficult for me to kill the 3 winged beasts. As for actual combat experience, I do have a lot of experience. Although the planet I stayed on before was not as powerful as the beasts here, the creature called the stinger mouse over there was very strong in vitality and reproduced very quickly. I often come across this thing. Once I come across it, I have to go forward and kill them. Otherwise, this thing will multiply and surround it in groups. No one can stand it. Goblin rat, I know that this thing reproduces very quickly, but the living environment is a bit special, so it can't survive on our side. Judging from what you said, the reason our students didn't perform well on the spot is indeed due to lack of actual combat experience. If you were like you and regularly kill some ferocious beasts, yesterday's battle should be one-sided suppression. It was beaten by the group of winged beasts. Well, let's not talk about that. I just report those things to the senior management of the Budokan. How they arrange them later is their business. Yesterday you went to hunt for the vine treasure with us because our battle arrangements were not good, which put you in danger. Although you won the battle and killed the 3 winged beasts, you also suffered a lot of losses. I said earlier that if you find a Rattan treasure, I will pay you 300,000 rals as a reward. Now look at the return here is a bit low. How are your 3 robots now? How much ral will it cost to fix? Instructor Daika, for my 3 robots, I went to replace some new parts in the morning, and they are all new. If it is repaired as it is, it will not cost much, but I have made some money recently, and I have long thought about it. We updated these 3 robots, but this time we did it together. Oh. That's right, it's not bad to replace them all with new ones, it's better than the patchwork ones before. Instructor Daika also saw that the original 3 robots were pieced together. But it's no wonder that the original appearance of the 3 younger brothers was not very coordinated, and the appearance and color of various accessories were different, obviously not a complete set. Instructor Daika didn't pay much attention to the robot's affairs, but went on to say, Boy Stardust, your loss this time is not small, and we 2 old guys are also aware of it. But now you are helping the Budokan to buy ingredients, this income is not bad, there should be no shortage of money. And you just sold at 3 Rattan treasures, about 2 million yuan in income, should be enough for you to spend a long time. Our 2 old guys are not rich, so we don't plan to use money to make up for your loss. I see that you don't have any good skills or martial arts in your usual practice, so I discussed with Qiluan. I will teach you a set of advanced saber techniques, although only the 2 layers of internal strength and the whole set of saber techniques. 7-stroke routine moves, but it is also very helpful for you to deal with the enemy at ordinary times. In addition, Qiluan will also teach you a set of martial arts in terms of body skills, which are relatively advanced skills. Although this set of body skills only has 2 levels and 11 postures of body skills, you can't do it before the 7th level of the prefecture level. Enough. This time, Qiluan blocked the dozen or so winged beasts, and it was all with the help of this body technique, so as not to be besieged by those fierce beasts. In the past 2 days, that guy Qiluan has to protect his junior, so he can't come here, so I will teach you the sword technique first. Instructor Daika said that he taught Xingqian advanced sword skills, but after learning that Xingqian had never practiced basic sword skills, he could only teach them from the basics. Before, Xingqian had never practiced weapons, but only physical skills such as fists and feet. This time he finally practiced weapons. The basic sword technique that Instructor Daika mentioned is the basic sword technique taught in all the martial arts gyms here on Amaya Star. There are 24 moves in this set of sword techniques, including the basic moves of all sword techniques. The reason why it is said to be the basic move of all sword techniques is because no matter how advanced the sword technique is, it is also evolved from the combination of these 24 moves. Instructor Daika started from the first move, explaining the precautions of the sword technique to Xingqian on the one hand, and explaining the various changes of this knife technique on the other hand. It can be said that one sword move can evolve thousands of sword moves. This statement is a bit exaggerated. In fact, there are thousands of saber moves that can be evolved, but that is the evolution of several or more than 10 saber moves together. A single move is not that exaggerated. In this way, Daika's instructor taught a move, Xingqian learned a move, and it took a long time to learn a move. Xingqian's aptitude is only average, so it is impossible for Xingqian to memorize all the things that Daika's instructor taught. But with rhubarb on the side to help memorize, I'm not afraid that I won't be able to learn it. At most, I'll just watch what Rhubarb wrote down and practice a few more times in the future. It took less than half an hour for Instructor Daika to finish explaining a knife move, and then Xingchen had to practice several times according to the taught knife style and the number of changes in this knife style, so that he could pass Daika's sword move. Instructor's acceptance. In this way, he continued to explain the 6 and 7 sword moves. Instructor Daika said that his mouth was dry, and Xingchen also practiced weekly. It's true that these sword techniques have changed too much, but Xingchen didn't really record much. This has to be reviewed and memorized slowly in the future. Fortunately, Stardust's younger brothers came out of the dormitory. Walla and Dang Dang helped Biliu and the 2 sword guards change accessories in the dormitory, and at this time they were all replaced. After replacing the parts, the robot couldn't be idle. At this moment, it remembered that those plant forests had to be cleared, so the 5 little brothers went out, ready to drive and start working. Xingchen was also overjoyed to see that his younger brothers had come out. Instructor Daika is very serious about teaching knife skills, but it is a bit of a force-feeding education. With this set of basic saber techniques, Xingchen would not believe that other students were able to teach them all in one day like they are doing now. There are so many moves, so many evolved knife styles, maybe a talented student can learn them all in one day, but most of the students belong to the type of qualification common, so they must all teach like this. I am afraid that there are not many people who have learned it. Xingchen called Hula, and asked him to fetch the box of spiritual tea that he bought earlier, as well as the tea-making set that he bought in the morning. Drinking spiritual tea here is also more fancy, and all kinds of tea-drinking gadgets come in sets. Xingchen went shopping in the morning, so he bought 2 sets for drinking tea by himself. This will see the Instructor Daika explaining the knife technique and the mouth is dry, so he thought about making some spiritual tea and telling the instructor to drink it to quench his thirst. In fact, Xingchen wanted to take advantage of the time to make tea and drink tea, so that he could take a break. After practicing like this for a few hours, he felt a little tired. Not physically tired, but physically and mentally exhausted. In addition, there are also the spiritual fruits that I bought before, and Walla washed them in 2 plates and brought them over. Next to the flat ground where Stardust exercises, there is a stone table-like block, which happens to be placed on it. Originally, good spirit spring water was needed to make spirit tea, but Xingchen couldn't find a cellar of spirit spring water here, so he could only use the common mountain spring water from the dormitory instead. Seeing Xingchen's casual remark, Instructor Daika took out a whole set of tea sets and spiritual fruits, and finally let go of his willingness to stop and rest for a while before teaching. The main reason is that Daika's instructor is also tired from teaching. The instructor is not young, so naturally he can't teach all day without a break like before. There will be tea and spiritual fruit to eat, naturally I want to take a rest. Crashing Memories Curry has newly added cooking materials, which contain information on how to make tea. This meeting was ordered by Xingchen, and naturally began to make tea one by one according to the procedure. Instructor Daika walked to the stone table and sat down, and then he was not polite, picked up a spiritual fruit and ate it. Xingchen also imitated the example, grabbed a spirit fruit and ate it. Xingchen boy, you often run outside, and there are some benefits. This spirit fruit spirit tea has all tastes. Hey! Don't mention it, I originally brought back 5 boxes of 5 kinds of spirit tea, but Mr. Pafu said it was a gift, so he insisted on buying 4 boxes, otherwise I would be able to drink spirit tea in different ways today. This old guy will always do some things to take advantage of. Instructor Daika was also a little helpless about this. You said that if it's something big, Instructor Daika can still compete with this guy and have a good night's sleep. But this is just a small matter of a few boxes of spiritual tea and tens of thousands of lars. At most, it will be enough to bring back a few boxes next time. Is it okay to get angry because of such a small matter? Instructor Daika, I brought 2 boxes of spirit beast meat back with me this time. They are small boxes of several kinds of spirit beast meat assembled. I'll give you a box later. It's like you invited me to eat a few times. A meal in return. Hey, There are several kinds of spirit beast meat, that's a good thing. But I don't cook here, it's useless if you give me these meats. It's better that this spirit fruit can be eaten directly. It doesn't matter if you don't fire there. My robot has been upgraded, and the cooking function has been added. I just bought some side dishes, and came back. I will try my skills at night. That's good. Have you bought all the things you need to make the spiritual meal? But don't be short of a few items in the end, it will be difficult to handle. Well, I purchased according to the list, there should be no shortage of things, just wait for dinner together at night. Okay, I finally don't have to go to the dining hall to eat at night, I have enough food there. 0. Xingchen and the instructor drank tea and ate spiritual fruit here, and rested for a while, finally regained their physical strength, and then started teaching lessons again. Walla was waiting here for the two to come over to drink tea later, and they still had to do the preparations, so they didn't leave here. For the other 4 younger brothers, Dang Dang was still driving the cleaning vehicle to deal damage in the main battle position, and the other 2 knife guards were driving the suspension vehicle to transport the waste. Chilio was not idle, he would drive out the small cleaning machine and go to other dormitory yards to clean up the remaining vines and plants. With such an arrangement, several younger brothers will have work to do, and they can be regarded as having their own uses. Instructor Daika taught until the evening. It was already getting late and it was not suitable for teaching anymore. Instructor Daika finally stopped. Today's teaching can be regarded as a solution to the addiction of this professor who has been idle for several years. In the past half a day of teaching, Instructor Daika has taught a total of 16 basic sword techniques. Of course, this evolved knife style is too much. However, the changes that Instructor Daika can teach are also the knife styles he has learned and memorized. Perhaps there are more evolutionary knife styles that Instructor Daika has not learned, so naturally he cannot teach them. Fortunately, the knife style taught now is enough for Xingchen to review for a long time. After Instructor Daika finishes teaching the saber techniques, Xingchen will be able to practice and memorize the various saber styles recorded by Rhubarb, one by one, and he should learn more thoroughly than other students in the Budokan. The day's teaching is over, it's dinner time and it's time to show off your skills. After all, you can't buy that cooking method for nothing. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee. Or checking out my shirts on TeePublic. Instructor Daika taught basic sword techniques for most of the day, and Xingchen also learned the basics for most of the day, so his stomach was already empty by now. Wow, according to Xingchen's instructions, all the food preparation guys have been arranged, and we are just waiting for Xingchen to talk about it. Of course, cooking is not done in this open space, it has to be done in the small dining hall of Xingchen's dormitory. After more than half a day of teaching, Stardust invited Instructor Daika to enjoy an exclusive dinner in the dormitory. This time, Stardust has 12 different varieties of spirit beast meat, and there are 7 or 8 kinds of side dishes to choose from. After the 2 of them washed up and took their seats, Xingchen asked Instructor Daika to order. In fact, there is nothing to order. There are not many cooking methods available in Emiya, unlike on the Earth, where thousands of dishes can be prepared. There are only these few dishes back and forth here, the difference is that different varieties of spirit beast meat are used. But this time there are as many as 12 types of spirit beast meat, and the meat is relatively fresh, which makes Instructor Daika quite satisfied. Wow, according to the dishes ordered by the Instructor Daika, according to the recipes and other things, prepare 3 of various ingredients, and then fiddle with it, the dish is ready. The 2 people's dishes were placed on the plates separately. Instructor Daika's dishes were large, while Xingchen's dishes were only about half. This is allocated according to the difference in strength between the 2. In addition, the spiritual fruit on Stardust's side also cut some, put them on small plates and put them on the table, they were regarded as small desserts or something. There is no such thing as soup here. In one afternoon, Xingchen and the others drank enough spiritual tea, so there is no need to prepare extra watered ones. For this dinner, the host and guests were quite satisfied. Compared with eating in a large dining hall, Xingchen's meal costs much less. If he can save like this in the future, it will be a lot of money in a year. Of course, there are also some unsatisfactory places. Those side dishes are not too fresh, and the taste is a bit bad. Instructor Daika didn't pay much attention to this. Xingchen raised his mouth, and then Instructor Daika waved his hand and said, "I don't know if the vegetables here are due to the variety or the water and soil. Once harvested, they are easily dehydrated and dry, which is very difficult to preserve. Although the production of vegetables here is relatively large, it is not so easy to eat enough fresh and tender vegetables. Only some big families grow their own land and harvest when they want to eat. Only then can they be fresh and tender enough. It is said that there are enough varieties of fruits and vegetables in the interstellar space, but here are such vegetables that are easy to dehydrate, so it may be a problem of water and soil." Xingchen nodded and replied. After dinner, Instructor Daika also went back to rest, and will continue to teach Xingchen the sword technique tomorrow. The things on the table, without Xingchen's order, were all cleaned up on their own initiative. After finishing the mess, I also stayed by the wall of the room with other younger brothers, and then went to stand by. Xingchen moved around a bit, digested his food, and then lay down on the bed ready to fall asleep. Today's meal is commemorative. I have been here for several months, and this is the first time I cook for myself. I usually eat the kind of lumpy food, but what I eat here is also the meal in the cafeteria. This time I finally got my stuff ready and I can start the fire by myself. But it's still a little troublesome. Those side dishes are not easy to prepare, and the taste is not good after dehydration, so I often buy them. If you keep doing this, it's a bit of a waste of time and it's not worth it. It is best to grow these side dishes nearby. When you want to eat them, you can buy and pick them now, and they will be very fresh and delicious. However, Xingchen drove the spaceship and flew over the sky a few times, but he didn't see any vegetable fields nearby. I don't know where the vegetable side dishes used in Budokan's canteen come from, but their side dishes are not fresh. I didn't expect that when I came to Amiya's side, I would be stumped by some vegetables. At the beginning, I made a fortune growing vegetables. It will make people laugh, but when it comes to growing vegetables, this is a way. There are so many open spaces in the martial arts hall, all of which are covered with vines. Dang dang, and the others have opened up a lot of land before. This will probably cover more than 10 acres. Planting some vegetables should be enough for oneself to eat. Thinking of the idea, Xingchen fell asleep peacefully. The next morning, Xingchen got up early. Although he learned the sword technique for a day yesterday, Xingchen didn't feel too tired. After a night's rest, he had already recovered his energy. Now that the conditions are met, Stardust will start to eat breakfast. In the past, no one prepared it, and it was too troublesome to go to the dining hall. Xingchen always ate a spiritual fruit for breakfast. From today on, Xingchen made Walla get up early every day and prepare to eat. It is said to be early, but in fact it is similar to dinner, but the amount is slightly smaller. After finishing breakfast, Xingchen went out to prepare for practicing. Stardust's little brothers went out to start work, and there were still hundreds of acres of vegetables to be cleaned up in the open space. Although a lot of open space has been cleared out now, those vines will not be able to cause trouble to the dormitory in a short time. But last night, Xingchen had already decided to grow vegetables to eat by himself, so the area of the open space needed to be enlarged. It saves you from having to face the situation where vines and vegetables compete for land within a few days of planting. Xingchen walked to the open area by himself and began to practice one move after another according to what he learned yesterday. Hula is still working here today as an errand and did not go to work in the area where the plants were removed. This is also to complete chores such as making tea and washing spirit springs in time. After Xingchen practiced for a while, Instructor Daika came over. However, the instructor did not interrupt Xingchen, but watched him practice. If there is any mistake, the instructor will point it out in time. After Stardust practiced once, Instructor Daika began to teach today. Yesterday I taught 16 basic sword techniques, and there are still 8 untaught. Today, I will teach the remaining 8 strokes. Instructor Daika is still the same as yesterday. After teaching one sword move, there are various changes in the sword path, and he must explain them one by one. Xingchen also listened carefully. Of course, he had heard and recorded most of the explanations, but after a few days, it would be difficult to say how much he could remember. This teaching lasted about half a day, and the 8 basic sword techniques were taught. Next, Instructor Daika didn't immediately start teaching Xingchen more advanced saber techniques. According to him, he hadn't practiced the basic saber techniques well, and he couldn't practice this advanced saber techniques well. Even if you don't learn how to walk well, you just want to run, which is easy to fall. Of course, it doesn't mean that Xingchen should practice for a few years before learning this advanced sword technique. That is also unnecessary. Instructor Daika asked Xingchen to at least practice the basic sword skills for 10 days and a half months, at least to be familiar with the changes of the sword path, and then he can learn more advanced sword moves. Xingchen practiced the basic saber technique for another round before stopping to rest. This time, the spirit tea has been brewed, and the spirit fruit has been washed in a plate. Xingchen and Instructor Daika went to the table and sat down to rest, then drank tea, ate fruit, and chatted a few words. Xingchen was free for this meeting, so he asked the instructor where the weapons were sold. Xingchen will still be using the knife that Daika's instructor borrowed before. It's not good to use other people's things all the time. Xingchen is not short of the money, so he naturally wants to buy one. Instructor Daika saw that Xingchen wanted to buy it, so he didn't bother, and took Xingchen directly to his own weapon shop in the Budokan, which was inside the Budokan. Every year, new students enter the Budokan, and if there are newcomers, there will be a need for weapons. Naturally, the Budokan will not let go of this 5.8 opportunity to make money. There are many types of weapons here, but Xingchen is now learning the sword technique, so naturally he bought a sword first. Instructor Daika took it with him, and said he was one of his own, so the weapon shop didn't quote a high price, and directly quoted a very affordable price to Xingchen. Stardust bought a long knife used below the 3rd level of the prefecture level. It is said to be a long knife, but it is not that long, it is more between a long knife and a short knife. In the words of Instructor Daika, this kind of knife shape is suitable for his advanced knife skills. Xingchen didn't have any special preference for it, so he bought this knife. This knife cost Stardust a total of 320,000 reals, which is not too much, but it should be enough for Stardust within a year or two. Of course, if he can break through the 3rd level of the prefecture level and reach the 4th level or above within a year or two, he will have to buy a better knife again. The name of this knife is Crank Long Blade, which is more common. A low-level weapon doesn't need a fancy name. After buying this weapon, Xingchen returned to the open space in the dormitory, and continued to practice basic sword skills. Of course, I already have a knife, and the one lent to me by the instructor Daika will naturally be returned. This time, he was practicing, resting and eating spiritual fruits, and then continued practicing. But when it was almost night, Uncle Pafu drove over again. Seeing that Xingchen was still practicing, he said, "Boy Xingchen, I've been idle for a few days. It's time to stock up, otherwise the spirit beast meat in the cafeteria will be out of stock." Xingchen wanted to say that I was not idle 2 days ago, and I was helping you find Tingbao in the Budokan. But the uncle came here with an order. Xingchen didn't want to explain aloud. Anyway, the customer is right, if not, just think about the lol you will earn, and you will understand that the customer is really right. Master Pafu, what do you want this time? Is it the same as last time? Right. There are still so many spirit beast meat, just add some spirit fruit. Do you still want the spirit tea and the small box of spirit beast meat? That thing is more suitable for gift giving. Just prepare 2 boxes for me. I will keep a spare in my hand, so as not to be out of stock when I get it, and I have to buy it now. Okay, then I will buy according to this amount. I will leave at night, and I estimate that I will be back in a little more than a day. Well, it's still the old rule, write to me when you come back. After speaking, Uncle Pafu greeted the instructor of Daika 25, and drove away again. That's right, I have to buy some goods today, I'll eat this dinner earlier, and I have to leave after eating. Instructor Daika didn't have much opinion on eating early, but today's dishes are mainly meat dishes, because almost all the vegetables bought yesterday were dehydrated and unpalatable. However, both Instructor Daika and Shinchan are not people who are too demanding in terms of food, so just eat something to fill up. After dinner, Shinchan arranged for Bailiu to take the other two younger brothers to clear the vine forest during the daytime tomorrow, and he took Walla and Dang Dang on the spaceship and went straight to Duo Linxing. The procedure for buying goods is still the same. Shinchan found the store receptionist last time to pick up the goods again. As for the small boxes of spirit beast meat, Shinchan bought 4 boxes. Although Uncle Pafu said that 2 boxes are enough, but what he said is not necessarily true. This small box of meat can be eaten by oneself, even if the uncle doesn't want it, he can keep it for himself. Shinchan chose 8 boxes of spirit tea, 8 kinds of spirit tea in total. Drinking tea with the Daika instructor these few days, it can be regarded as getting to know a little bit, and I also have certain requirements for the taste and efficacy of spiritual tea, so I bought a few more this time to drink in exchange. As for the spirit fruit, Shinchan still bought 20 boxes for the Budokan. In addition, Shinchan bought 4 boxes of spiritual fruits of different varieties, which he ate and invited the Daika church to eat. That's all there is to it. Shinchan loaded the cargo on the spaceship, and the spirit beast meat was relatively heavy, so it was better to put it in the rhubarb space to reduce the weight. After finishing all this, Shinchan drove the spaceship back again. But Shinchan has been on his way, and when he returned to Amaya Star, it was time for dinner. It was getting late at this time, but it was not time to go to sleep. Shinchan still sent a message to the uncle. As expected, Uncle Pafu hadn't rested yet, and rushed over after receiving Shinchan's letter. The next step is to inspect the goods, receive the goods, and pay the money. This time, the goods were almost the same as last time. When the uncle saw the 4 small boxes of spirit beast meat brought back by Shinchan, he really wanted all of them again. He even picked up 4 boxes of spirit tea. The quantity of other large boxes of spirit beast meat and spirit fruit was the same as last time. The goods that the uncle wants are the same as last time, and the price is also the same as last time. So Shinchan made another 800,000 rals this trip. After the transaction was completed, the uncle did not leave immediately, but talked about Zhang Bao. Shinchan boy, for some reason, since you sold me a vine treasure last time, several students in the martial arts hall have obtained the vine treasure, and all of them have broken through to the 4th level of the earth level. Hey! My grandson has many opponents now. At first, I thought that my grandson would be able to show his strength in the ranking competition with his 4th level strength, but now, there are several 4th level students in the Budokan. I really don't know why there are so many Rattan treasures all of a sudden. I don't know either. Grandpa, I just came here and I'm not familiar with others, so how can I know these things? Shinchan felt a little embarrassed after hearing the old man's nagging. Shinchan said in his heart, most of the newly released Rattan treasures in Budokan are related to me, but I can't tell you, otherwise you will stop my order, and I will lose a lot. However, it is good if there are more Tier 4 students in the Budokan. In this ranking competition, the Budokan will be able to send all Tier 4 students to participate. The results will not be bad at that time. This is good for the entire Budokan. It's a great thing to say. That's natural. If all students of Tier 4 participate in the battle, the natural winning rate will be much higher than that of Yushur. Well, let's not talk about it. I'm going to store. My old man is getting old, and I have to worry about these chores. Hey! After finishing speaking, the uncle got into the car and drove off again. The uncle here just left, and the instructor Daika appeared out of nowhere. Listening to the movement, I knew your kid was back. The sound of Pafu's drag racing is still so loud, and he can hear it from a long distance. Instructor Daika, have you had dinner yet? Shall we have some together? I haven't eaten yet. You just came back, did you buy vegetables? It's just meat again. I just came back, so naturally, I don't have time to buy vegetables. they're cheap, so it's not worth bringing them back from dual lynching. That's true. There is really no need to bring this thing from an alien. In fact, there are some edible spiritual herbs in the vine forest. If you know it, you can dig some emergency ones. Oh. Instructor, if you don't tell me, I still can't remember it. My robot has added some information about plants. It should be no problem to know these spiritual plants. Let them find some. After talking about Xingchen, he arranged for Dang Dang to take the other 3 younger brothers to the vine area to collect spiritual grass and so on, while Walla was preparing to cook in the dormitory. Not long after, Dang Dang and the others came back in a suspension car. There were only 2 people on Xingchen's side who wanted to eat, so naturally, they didn't need to dig too much spiritual grass. The little brothers have been busy for a while, and they collected about 2 or 3 caddies. This amount is enough for 2 meals. 697. Xingchen asked Walla to cook, so he went to wash up and prepare for dinner. While waiting for food, Instructor Daika talked about the gossip in the Budokan for the past 2 days. Zingdust Boy, another group of people who went to the mountain together that day, also came back. This time they also gained something. So many people have been busy for 3 or 4 days, and they can be regarded as digging 10 vine treasures. However, their luck was not as good as ours. They fought several vicious battles in a row. Not only the students were seriously injured, but even the instructor was injured and returned. Instructor Daika, their group of talents has come back. They have been wandering in the mountains for 3 or 4 days, but they have suffered a great crime. No, the night in the mountains is not so easy. However, it is good for them to stay in the mountains for a long time. After so many fierce battles, the students have gained a lot of practical experience. Compared with our group of students, it is hard to say who is luckier. This is the truth, these students are indeed a little inexperienced, they really should go to the mountains more. After chatting about these things, Instructor Daika took out the bonus fee for Xingchen to find the 2 treasures. 1 vine treasure is 300,000 laras, and when Stardust finds 2, it is 600,000 laras. Stardust got the 600,000 rals, plus the money earned from the order given by Mr. Pafu, a total of 1.4 million rals. This time, the lars spent on changing outfits and buying weapons, the younger brothers, have all been earned back. Stardust's assets also returned to more than 4 million. After dinner, Instructor Daika happily left. Xingchen moved around casually to digest food, and then rested. Woke up the next day, as usual, Dang Dang and the other 3 younger brothers went to clear the plant forest, and Wallace served on the side of Stardust. After Xingchen practiced basic sword skills for a while, Instructor Daika came over, but there was Instructor Li Qiluan after that. Of course, Instructor Qiluan came here to fulfill his previous promise. Xingchen said hello to the 2 old instructors. Instructor Qiluan didn't waste much time, and directly asked Xingchen how he practiced before. Xingchen quickly talked about the various trainings he had done before. Instructor Qiluan shook his head after hearing this. Xingchen's foundation here is not very good, but his body skills are not the same as his sword skills. The agility that Instructor Qiluan wants to teach belongs to the air agility, that is, the agility that monks need to practice after the earth level to be able to float in the air. This kind of advanced body skills has little to do with basic body skills, so you don't need to learn that first. Since he could learn directly, Instructor Qiluan began to teach the course. This time, Xingchen still asked Da Huang to write down every sentence and every movement change that the instructor said while listening. There is nothing surprising about the way advanced body movements change. The main thing to learn is the change of breath in the body. If the human body wants to change the body shape quickly in the air, it naturally depends on the change of energy in the body. Although Xingchen has never learned these before, fortunately he has a strong ability to accept them. There are a total of second-level exercises and 11 postures. Of course, it's useless to learn at once, this thing needs to be practiced, and you have to change your body shape at the moment of thought, otherwise people are living targets in the air. Instructor Qiluan said that he learned this set of moves when he was in the army, and he chose this set of moves as a reward for his meritorious service during the war. But because the credit is not too much, I just learned the 11 styles. In addition to this set of agility, there is also a special training warehouse in the army, which can quickly practice agility. However, the training cabin cost a lot, and instructor Chi Luan trained in it for a little over 2 days. Although the practice time is short and the effect is mediocre, instructor Chi Luan's agility level has also improved a lot. Thanks to these 2 days of training, instructor Chi Luan also benefited a lot in the next battle. Even against more than 10 wingshi beasts a few days ago, Chi Luan's instructor was rich and uninjured, so you can see the effect. These winged beasts are ferocious beasts that can fly. Instructor Chi Luan changed his body shape back and forth on the ground to avoid the attack, and it was quite difficult to save 2 students from the siege. Naturally, Xingchen praised him, he learned from others, and it is necessary to be a qualified fan. Otherwise, when people teach you, keep 1 or 2 hands, 3 or 4 hands, don't blame them for being stingy. Sure enough, after Xingchen's flattery, instructor Chi Luan was also happy, and said some points that need to be paid attention to when exercising agility. After teaching body skills, Chi Luan drank some spirit tea and ate a few spirit fruits here before leaving. Xingchen also sent a box of spiritual tea and a box of spiritual fruit to instructor Chi Luan as a token of gratitude. Instructor Chi Luan also liked these 2 boxes of gifts very much, and nodded his head to express his acceptance. After sending off instructor Chi Luan, Xingchen continued to practice. Instructor Daika is on the sidelines guiding. In the evening, Xingchen invited instructor Daika to have dinner together. As for the vegetables needed for cooking, Stardust took the time to go to a special market and bought a batch of vegetable seeds. There are more than 20 kinds of these vegetable seeds, including leafy vegetables and rhizomes. They are considered to be a complete variety, and they are all types that can be grown at the Budokan. Dang, they have already developed tens of acres of open land, all of which can be used to grow vegetables. However, when buying seeds, the businessman listened to what Xingchen said about the land situation and expressed professional opinions on it. The land that Xingchen wants to plant belongs to the land where vines and weeds grow for a long time. Although it is relatively fertile, there are too many rhizomes in the soil, and they will germinate from time to time. Vegetables may not grow as fast as grass. That's a big problem. However, the businessman also gave a professional opinion. There is a professional multifunctional reclamation tool, which is just suitable for this situation. Not only can it be used to remove all kinds of rhizomes in the soil, but also to repair the land and sow seeds. Anyway, it has different vegetable growing functions. Buying this machine tool, Stardust can't buy it at a loss and can't be fooled, it's worth the money. Xingchen feels that this guy just wants to sell machines and tools to himself, and take a commission from them. But I really need a machine like this here, so I can't let the younger brothers plant seeds one by one in the ground. So in the end, after Stardust bargained with the other party, he spent 112,000 rals to buy a professional machine tool. After buying this agricultural machine, Xingchen doesn't have to worry about transporting it back, and the younger brothers will finish the customer work of growing vegetables. 5 or 6 days passed by in the peaceful days. During the meeting, instructor Daika felt that Xingchen had practiced the basic saber techniques well, so he taught Xingchen the set of advanced saber techniques. Except for the fact that Uncle Pafo came twice in the middle to pick up the order, he didn't know what he was busy with at other times, and he never saw anyone. But on this day, Uncle Pafo came here specifically to ask Xingchen to do a little favor. Here's the thing. In the Budokan, there were a few students who used rattan treasures to help them successfully climb the ladder. One of the students had something to do at home, so he went back to his home planet. In the past 2 days, the student sent a letter back saying that the family affairs were troublesome, and that he might not be able to come back to Emiya in the near future. The instructors in the Budokan were a little anxious when they heard the news. Now there are only 5 students who have successfully advanced to the ranks in the martial arts hall. If one of them asks for leave, they can only be replaced by students with 3rd-level strength, and the winning rate will drop a lot by then. So Uncle Pafu went to find out about the situation there. According to an insider, the elder of the student went on an expedition outside and hadn't responded to the news for a long time, so the family wanted to send the spaceship to find out the situation again. However, it is not easy to find suitable personnel and spaceships, and the student is consumed there in a short time. No, Paphos-Sky thought of Stardust. There are people here in Stardust, they are more reliable, and there are spaceships, although they are a little smaller, but there should be no problem for general flying. So the uncle came here and wanted Xingchen to take a trip. Grandpa really thinks highly of himself. Xingchen is also a little unhappy. He is going to an unfamiliar place on the alien planet, and the safety situation there is not clear. I am a rookie at the 9th level of the human level. I am afraid that I will never return. Uncle Pafu said that Stardust's current strength should be at the 2nd level of the prefecture level, and it is not a big problem just to go for a trip. It's not for nothing. Xingchen still doesn't want to go. This million seems like a lot, but he can earn money by going to Duo Linxing safely, and going to an alien planet that doesn't know how dangerous it is a bit uneconomical. Uncle Pafu couldn't allow Xingchen to refuse, saying that he had been taking care of Xingchen's business for so long, and Xingchen was not happy about such a casual trip. It didn't look like it. Xingchen is a little speechless. This old man is doing this again. But judging from the situation, this trip to the alien planet is still really going. Instructor Daika also seemed to know about this, and he also said a few words in favor of Xingchen going there, saying that it is not that dangerous there, and with Xingchen's current strength, as long as he doesn't cause trouble, there is no danger in going back and forth. Well, Stardust can only agree. Uncle Pafu smiled and sent the location of that planet to Xingchen, and then said who to contact there. Stardust has no patience and can only prepare to travel. This star is about 400 light-years away from Amaya, which is not too far away. Xingchen left 2 younger brothers in the dormitory to watch the door, and he also took care of the vegetables and cleared the plant forest. Dang Dang, Walla, and Bailiu have been upgraded, and their strength has improved significantly, so this time they take them with them, and they can also help themselves. Considering that he might have to travel a long distance, Stardust specially bought some packaged drinking water, which is similar to the bottled water on Earth, but the packaging between the stars is different. There are about 150 bottles of this water, enough for Stardust to drink for 2 or 3 months. In terms of food, Xingchen has its own spiritual food and spiritual animal meat, which can be cooked by Walla. Of course, this is not very convenient. Xingchen is going to check the situation over there before preparing to eat, because he doesn't know how many days of long-distance travel it will take. As for the spiritual fruit, Stardust still has 3 boxes, which should be enough for about a month. The energy column on the spacecraft has also consumed a lot after these few flights, but again, because I don't know the specific destination, I can't buy the energy column. We have to wait until we have a specific voyage to test these. After preparing these things, Xingdust set off directly in the spaceship. That planet is called Dellen Star. It is said to be a big star, but it is not bigger than other planets, it's just called that. It takes a total of 97 hours to go to Dellen Star, and Xingchen has nothing to do on the spaceship. He can only lie on the control chair and read the professor materials stored by Rhubarb, which are what instructors Daika and Ronluan are teaching these days. Although the space is too small to get up and actually practice, it is also a practice method to keep simulating in your mind. This familiarity with the moves is also somewhat useful. In addition, let Xingchen memorize the changes of various moves. This kind of simulation exercise is also a good way to pass the time. Xingchen has just practiced 7 or 8 sword moves, and after familiarizing himself with some of the changes, Dellen Daxing arrived. Arriving near the orbit outside the planet, Stardust flew towards a parking point according to the information sent by the planet's parking command post. This berthing point is relatively close to the location that Uncle Pafu said, because the student has not been contacted yet, so basically we can only find a place to stop first. At the mooring point, Stardust went through the mooring procedures. The price of parking at Sandalin here is 800 reals, because it is not a trade zone, and there are no discounts, so Stardust can only pay the fee honestly. Xingchen was also a little depressed. He had come to help with the trip, but he still needed to pay for parking, and he didn't know if the fee would be reimbursed. The mooring point is also on the surface of the planet, and the communicator also has a signal. Xingzhou asked Da Huang to contact the contact number left by Uncle Pafu first. Rhubarb took the trouble to contact more than 10 times, but he still didn't get through, as if the other party was busy all the time. There was no other way, Xingchen could only drive to the door. The contact person is in an urban area nearly 300 kilometers away from the berthing point. Stardust spaceship over there cannot park there without a berthing license, so Stardust can only drive there. Xingchen asked Hua La to get the suspension car ready, and then he took the younger brothers into the car, one person and 2 younger brothers, and headed towards the city. The 2 younger brothers are Walla and Dang Dang, and Bailiu will stay on the spaceship to watch the house this time. The speed of the levitation car was very fast, but in just over 20 minutes, Stardust arrived in the urban area. Here, Xingchen asked Da Huang to contact that number again, but the other party still did not hear back. There is no way, Xingchen can only go to the door. According to Uncle Pafu, that student was also from a big family and lived in the inner city. Xingchen looked for the past according to the direction, and sure enough, he found a large family-style house with a similar appearance. It should be here. At the gate of this residential area, there are still people guarding, and the strength is not bad, the second level strength of the prefecture level. Xingchen must come here to apply for the 10 gatekeepers. Of course, the second level of the prefecture level refers to the guard with the highest strength, and the rest are around the first level of the prefecture level. In addition to these guards at the gate, there are also a lot of suspension vehicles parked in the open space outside the gate. There are some strong men standing beside the vehicle. They seem to be followers, but the owner of the vehicle is not there. It is estimated that they have entered the gate to discuss matters. Looking at the appearance outside the gate, although there are more people visiting, it doesn't look like anything happened, so what happened to that student? But the contact number has been unable to get through. Annoying enough. There was no way, so Xingchen took his younger brother to the gate. Those guards did their duty, and stopped Xingchen with a wave of their hand. This is a private area, leave as soon as possible. Brothers, I'm from Xinchuan Budokan. I want to ask Mahan for something. Can I contact him? You are his friend, contact him directly, he will come out to pick you up when he knows you are coming. Xingchen is speechless. If I can contact him, why do I need to come and talk to you? I have contacted him, but his number has not been connected, so I came here to find someone. If you're not an acquaintance, he won't pick it up. Don't try to sneak in under the pretext of looking for an acquaintance. Just tell me what's up, and leave early if you have nothing to do. Oh. It's something to do. Mayhan said that he needs a spaceship to travel a long distance outside, so I came here to look for him. Long distance, All the people waiting here want to travel long distances. This job is not something that can be run with just a cat or a dog. After saying this, the guard patted a sign on the table, and then said, if you want to run this job and get benefits, you have to follow the requirements above. Huh? To help, you have to meet the requirements. This mission is interesting. Stardust took a closer look at the sign. The above roughly means that to participate in the Delendak Sigma expedition fleet, you must first pay a deposit of 5 million rels, prepare your own spaceship and daily necessities, and have qualified manpower, at your own risk. The harvest should be shared with the Ma tribe, and the specific conditions will be discussed in detail. I'll go. Xingchen wanted to scold him directly. What kind of condition is this? I'm here to help, and I have to pay 5 million rels first. Not to mention that I didn't make any money, I still have to pay a deposit first. It's okay for me to come back from this trip, but if I don't come back, the 5 million will be given to the Ma tribe. Co-authored and I came to contribute to their family. This matter can't be done like this. I'm not stupid, because I came all the way to give money to others. Stardust turned his head and left after watching. The guard didn't stop him, but he muttered a few words, which meant that the bastard came from somewhere, and he didn't have much money, and he wanted to join the adventure group to gain benefits, so go dreaming. Xingchen didn't pay attention to what the guards said, but today's matter is really strange. Obviously what they are looking for here is the expedition fleet and go on an alien adventure together, but Uncle Pafu's statement is different. This time I have to ask Uncle Pafu first. As for the conditions for joining the fleet mentioned on the sign just now, Stardust will not agree. If Xingchen could find a way to collect 5 million rals, Xingchen would still be able to collect it, but the amount of money was not well known. And what kind of expedition fleet, just a rookie like Xingchen, is also used as cannon fodder for exploring the road. If they want to get the benefits in the end, and get back the security deposit, if the Ma tribe arranges some dangerous errands, Xingchen may never come back, and all the benefits belong to the Ma tribe. Xingchen found a nice-looking canteen on the side street. After running so far, Xingchen only ate a few spiritual fruits, and his stomach was still quite empty. If he had time, he would eat something first. I ordered a meal in the small dining room in the dining hall, and when the meal came, Xingchen asked Da Huang to contact the number again. But this time it still didn't connect. Xingchen had no choice but to ask Rhubarb to contact Master Pafu's number. Calculated according to the time of departure, it should still be daytime at the Amaya Budokan, and the uncle did not rest. Uncle Pafu's number was quickly connected, and Xingchen, a number that cost a lot of money, was quite easy to use, so he got on the phone with Uncle Pafu directly. "Boy Stardust, have you arrived? How is the situation? Have you got $1 million? Let me tell you, the people over there are a little bit fond of taking advantage of small things. You have to get the money first. Master Pafu, don't mention the 1 million. People here have to pay 5 million as a deposit to participate in the expedition fleet. I don't have enough money, and I don't even have the qualifications to join the fleet. Didn't I say this before I came here? Do you need a spaceship to check the situation? Why do you have to pay a deposit of 5 million? Now I can't contact Mayhan, and the number has been blocked. You have cheated me this time, you ran so far for nothing. Zingdust boy, don't worry, the news from me here should be correct. I will ask about the situation first, and I will reply to you later." After saying this, the uncle hung up the message. After hearing what the old man said, Xingchen began to eat with peace of mind. The food here is the same, and there are not many dishes. Xingchen ordered 2 common meal dishes, and also ordered a spiritual meal, which can be regarded as a pair to eat together. The price of the common meal is quite cheap, and the price of this spiritual meal is comparable to that sold at the Budokan. But Stardust is just a passerby, and the ones sold here are more expensive and cheaper, and it's just a meal, so the gift is not big. After finishing the meal, the uncle's reply also came. As soon as the number was connected, the uncle said the cause and process of the incident. The general idea is that Mahan's clan uncle set up a small expedition team and drove an interstellar spaceship to explore outside. Later, I don't know where I got the news, saying that there is primitive life on a certain planet, which may be of construction value, and maybe have the conditions to develop into a civilized planet. In that case, the value will be great. This small expedition team went to that planet to explore, and then never returned. Before the expedition went, the location of the target planet was sent back to the family for preservation, so the family also knew the coordinates of that planet. Since the expedition team went to that planet to investigate, there has been no news for more than 2 months. The family naturally knows that something happened. Now that something happened, the family also had to consider rescue and another expedition. It's just that the scope of this story is a bit wide, and many families also got the news and wanted to get a share. The Ma tribe couldn't bear the pressure, so there was the Delan Daxing Ma tribe expedition fleet this time. If you want to participate in this expedition, you will naturally have to pay an entrance fee. This is also to keep away those who don't have the strength to pick up leaks in the muddy water. Those powerful families naturally don't care about the mere 5 million rals. However, if there are many families who want to join, the distribution of benefits will be more troublesome. Everyone wants to share more, and no one wants to suffer. So starting from the organization of the fleet, so far, it has been almost a month, and the fleet still has not been able to set off. Seeing that the date of departure of the fleet could not be counted on, the descendant of Mahan's uncle, Mahan's cousin wanted to find a spaceship to rescue there first. Of course it was a rescue, but after so long, the expedition team might have died out long ago. Mahan's cousin is also trying her best, maybe there is a chance to save her. The 1 million reward task that Uncle Pafu mentioned was issued by this cousin with a small treasury. But recently there are too many people who come to Mazu to find a way to join the expedition fleet, so Mahan's number is only accepted by acquaintances, and unfamiliar numbers are refused. It's no wonder that Stardust couldn't contact him. After Master Pafu finished speaking, he said that he had sent Xingchen's number to Mahan, and that student would contact Xingchen immediately. Alright, Stardust was actually quite happy that he couldn't get in touch with that Mahan, which meant that he didn't have to travel far and take risks. But this time the uncle asked Xingchen to wait for others to come to contact him, so Xingchen could only be happy in vain. When Xingchen cut off contact with the uncle, another number picked up. This number belongs to student Mahan. Xingchen made an appointment with the other party on a meeting place, but the other party only said that he would come right away, and then interrupted the communication. Within 5 minutes, a man and a woman walked into the small dining room where Xingchen was. The place where Xingchen and the other party made an appointment is this dining hall, where there are also tea and drinks for tasting, which is also a place for people to talk about things. This Mahan confirmed Xingchen's identity first, so he called Xingchen's number face to face. After confirming that it was correct, Mahjun led the woman to sit down together. The cause of the incident was already known by Xingdust, and the main purpose of this discussion was the reward and the location of the target planet. What Mahan meant was that Xingchen should go to investigate first, and then pay the 1 million reward when he comes back. Because they have never cooperated with Xingchen before, they don't know how Xingchen's reputation is. Will they just take the money and buy it directly? Leave. Xingchen directly rejected the offer. Is there something wrong with this Ma tribe? They always ask people to work for free, and even if they don't work for free, they even have to pay a deposit. This is not enough to take advantage of. You must know that the old man said that it is a long-distance flight, so I am afraid it will not be less than a few thousand light years. The light energy column on this road is a lot of expenses, besides the normal damage of the spacecraft, and the replacement of vulnerable parts, they all cost money, which means that Xingchen went this trip at his own expense, and when he gets paid later, he has to pay the bill based on the satisfaction of the other party. Xingchen is naturally not happy. Seeing that Xingchen disagreed, Mahan's face darkened. Stardust naturally didn't care about Mahan's emotions. To be honest, Xingchen didn't pay attention to the reward of 1 million rels. If you run a business on weekdays, you can earn about 800,000 yuan, which can be earned in only 5 days. I don't know how long it will take this long-distance trip, and the reward is only 1 million, which is a loss-making business in Xingchen's eyes. However, Uncle Pafu valued Mahan more, because he was a candidate for the ranking tournament, so he pushed Xingchen over to help. But it is also said that Xingchen is here to help, but there is no reason for Xingchen to pay for this errand by himself. Seeing that Xingchen was not willing to accept such a proposal, Mahan sat aside angrily and didn't say a word. At this time, the woman next to him took up the conversation, hoping that Xingchen could make this trip. She said that Xingchen was indispensable for this reward. Xingchen then asked about the approximate location and distance of this trip. These are all things to consider. Some planets are located in dangerous locations, and it is definitely not suitable to run to take risks. In addition, if the target planet is too far away, say tens of thousands of light years, the small spaceship of Stardust is not suitable to go there. If the distance is tens of thousands of light years, even if the Stardust has space to carry extra energy columns, it is still not enough for the spaceship to fly so far. And the distance is too far. The spacecraft has been flying like this, the main power engine can't stand it. Stardust spaceship is a very common B-class first-order spaceship, which belongs to the entry-level super-light speed vehicle. It is safer to fly in a few hundred light years of common. If it is tens of thousands of light years away, maybe it will explode in the middle of the flight. The woman replied about how far away stardust is, more than 8,300 light years. It is still where the stardust can fly. 00, but flying so far, the reward is only 1 million rels. This price is a bit low. One must know that just for such a long distance, the energy column required for the round trip would cost 1 to 200,000 rels, and with other supplies, it could be as small as 300,000 rels. In case there are parts to be replaced along the way, it might cost up to 500,000 yuan. The cost is so much, and you have to take risks. This 1 million is too valuable. Seeing that Xingchen was not satisfied with the reward and the distance he ran, Meihan brought out Master Pafu to persuade Xingchen. But Stardust doesn't like that. He directly dialed the number of the uncle. After the contact was connected, the uncle heard that this was the case, and was a little annoyed for a while. Stardust was introduced by Uncle Pafu. Meihan doesn't trust Stardust, but he doesn't trust him. Moreover, the voyage will take more than 8,300 light years, and the round trip is 16,000 light years away. The reward is only 1 million rels, and the uncle also thinks it is inappropriate. But this Meihan is actually the main student in the ranking battle. Uncle Pafu still wants to help him with his affairs, and return to the Budokan for training as soon as possible, so that he can get good results in the ranking battle. So when it came to the end, Master Pafu was the guarantor, and Mahan paid Stardust 500,000 rels first, and then paid the remaining 500,000 rels after Stardust returned. As for running a long distance, I can only pay back by buying more Stardust in the future. Hey! The uncle said about buying more goods, that is to say, that's all. Xingchen also knows that the goods used in the martial arts hall are fixed. If you buy more, where can you use them? But now that the old man has said everything here, Xingchen can only accept this condition. After discussing the matter, Mahan's cousin took out 500,000 yuan and gave it to Xingchen, and sent Xingchen the coordinates of some planets through the communicator. These coordinates are connected to form a star road. If Stardust's spaceship is good enough, it can fly directly to the edge of the target planet. But if the spaceship is more common, you need to divide the voyage into sections, fly a section, replenish some energy columns and supplies, and then continue to fly. The star road formed by these coordinates serves this purpose. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.